Hello, and welcome back to the Elemental I Ching. So today we're sitting with the Eye of Wonderland, the insight, the inner sight that occurs when we can relax the stories of the mind and keep the body fresh in its moment, here in this present moment of time. And we're drinking in the hexagram 43, GK43. In the I Ching it was called breakthrough. It's also called resoluteness. And I love this balance of the powerful change that can occur from this key and the resoluteness that it takes to really sit with life without worry, but to truly follow that path of vitality and freshness into the breakthrough. And in the Gene Keys, it moves from the shadow of deafness to the gift of insight, to the city, the enlightened state of the Epiphany, the great Epiphany, and the endless epiphanies. It's this rebellious key, and I did want to start with just this very clear distinction of deafness as the shadow and deafness, physical deafness. I studied for 4 years. I learned sign language at my school at UT, and learning about the deaf people and their ways. And I wanted to just honor that deaf people and that world is different than deafness as a shadow. In this book, we relate to deafness as a shadow because it's really about you're deaf to your own inner world. You're not listening deeply enough. And whereas deafness as a physical experience does not need to be a disability or a reason for calling it a lower state. And just my heart goes out to all of the incredible deaf culture and of people that are utilizing the equality of what they were given in this life, or what the challenges may have traumatized the actual organs of the ear. But we all have the ability to rest into insight. So this deafness as this inner deafness, this deafness to the truth of life. And in this show, we look at each of the gene keys and their elemental forms. So for this, it's the lake, the joyous lake over the creative heaven. That's the element, these two elements at play. And so deafness as a shadow is the dissatisfaction with our present moment experience and the entropy that we feel and fear inside that dissatisfaction, and how we desperately try to use the yang to break out of this dissatisfied field. And deafness, it's that if we wake up not sure of how to apply ourselves into the day, we fill that day with mindless activities is one way, like just filling it with the noise of life, or living in worry, living in those endless cycles of the story of the mind and identifying with these states as worry. And I think this is a powerful key for all of us right now. Worry. What a profoundly powerful adversary and ally, as we see throughout this key, but an adversary to our vitality is this stuck in the swampy, murky mind of dissatisfaction, of worry, of stagnancy. Both of these keys, they're both metal elements. They want to flow through the breath of life, through the lungs of virtuous action and right relationship with time and energy. And what are we identifying with in this present moment? And so deafness can be very loud. It's the loud inner world. It's so loud that we're actually deaf to the divinity of this moment, of the beauty of this moment, of the vitality and the joy and the bliss of this moment. So recognizing, where do I worry in my life? Where do I get stuck in those stagnant repetitions of time? And and also like the dissatisfaction can be so uncomfortable, and the creative heaven reminds us to rest the body inside, yield, to receive until true yang, true action emerges naturally from that state. And dissatisfaction wants to create as many stories as possible that this moment is not okay. And usually we're worrying about the future. We're desperately trying to make ourselves happy in the future, that we're actually expending all of our energy from being happy right now. I've had some great conversations with some of my brothers who have had this experience of choosing to be content and happy with their life, choosing to rest in the present moment. And their heart opens, and suddenly the way, the Dharma, the path actually opens up and gives them the same things they were intending. Oh, I want to be successful in my business. Oh, I want to find this for my purpose and my passion in life. And then suddenly when you rest in the beauty of the moment, those steps naturally emerge. That's the breakthrough. That's the epiphany, is that we don't need to know. There's this obsession with knowing, and we get so busy and so deaf in our own mind, we're no longer listening to the present moment. We're no longer listening to ourselves, to ourself, right? And so the gift of insight occurs when we give that gentle, that joyous lake, when we give it time to still the waters, right? We give enough time and space to actually see the heaven beneath the waters. That beautiful moment when the lake is like glass. It's just perfectly still. And you can see the reflection of all of heaven, of all of earth, of all the beauty. And that same thing occurs in our minds, that stillness, that fertile ground, the pauses that we can give ourselves in time, so we can experience life exactly as it is. And then insights emerge, breakthroughs emerge, Satori emerges from that fertile space of presence, of being completely present with this moment. So insight, the vitality that emerges from that life when we're in the freshness of the present moment. That's the elements here. Vitality and freshness. And so sitting in peace is one of those ways to be in the fresh present moment. But I've been really bringing in my Qigong teacher lately, and just the shaking practice. I feel this creative heaven in the body in this trigram. So it's all about freshness, about moving the stagnancy, about awakening every part of the body, waking our cells up, so that they can be in their natural vitality, in their natural happiness. Most unease, dis-ease, comes from this stagnancy somewhere in our vessel. Somewhere the meridians are getting blocked up, and this archetypal acupuncture of this key can help break through, can help bring flow back to the whole system. And this whole time that we're going to be in the creative heaven Bagua, we're going to be working with keeping freshness in the body, in this lower trigram, keeping freshness right here in this present moment. So that then our mind, in this joyous lake right now, the mind doesn't have to be in the dissatisfied, murky swamp of the lake's energy, its shadow element of dissatisfaction, where it identifies with these sensations are me. So when I'm uncomfortable, suddenly I become, that's all encompassing. And if we're desperate to create happiness in the future, or we're having dissatisfaction with trauma in the past, that's where worry lives. It's a time-based energy. But the present moment awakens this natural happiness, this contentment, even in uncomfortable, melancholy situations. And so I'm breathing that in, of this element of the creative heaven of time. How am I going to use time? How free will as time, right? And time as free will. How am I going to choose to use my attitude, my response to life? Am I going to stay in my dissatisfied entropy experience and be deaf to the beauty and the bliss that is here available in this present moment? Or am I going to choose to engage with freshness in each moment and be witness to the life vitality that life naturally brings me, that awakens from my cells, that awakens through reality, when I can really stay present with what's occurring and break through those obscurities that hold back this beauty and bliss of the epiphany. Blissful beauty is the epiphany, right? This great aha moment that actually means I don't even know anything. I mean, that's what bliss and beauty really are for me, is can I be so present with the awe-inspiring beauty of life? Awful. How awful is life? How much can I let in the beauty right now without identifying with the impermanent sensations of like happiness and sadness and pain and ecstasy. There's these impermanent sensations. Bliss takes in all of these sensations, and the beauty is that it all comes through over time, naturally occurring. The beauty of my body awakening the blissful attitude to take in life's obstacles and life's glorious victories, all as a portal for more breakthrough and for the resoluteness to stay strong in my, from freak to genius, to stay in my genius, to be vital enough to allow life's freshness to flow through this present moment. So in Wonderland, one of the magic that we do is we play music, and we improvise music, and we improvise lyrics, the sacred cipher, as my dear sister Rebecca Watereye calls it. And this ability to alchemically change the stagnant parts of myself by trusting in an ever-present flow of life. And this key is the creative rebel. It's the ad-lib, it's the improv, it's the genius that is unstudied. It's these moments where actually, if we rest in our present moment experience, something is naturally communicating with us and through us. So are we deaf to that by being dissatisfied with what we're experiencing, or are we living in that fresh present moment? These videos for me are another expression of this. I have some idea maybe of what I want to share in these videos, but it has to be completely real, authentic, fresh. And things come out of my mouth that I wasn't even thinking about earlier this morning when I had tea. And it's my trust in that flow, including in the vulnerability that maybe I will make a mistake. The rebel, it's friction, it's sandpaper, it can be uncomfortable at times. So am I worried about that? Or am I so noisy that I'm not listening to the insight, to letting the moment inform itself? Again, this creative heaven is time. It's the freshness of time that's constantly circulating. Where is my murky swamp of the mind putting story that's capping the freshness of this moment? That for me is this is my breakthrough about this key. I have worked with this key for 5 years, I worked with this, 6 years when I started reading the book, and it wasn't fully in me, I was like, I get it intellectually. This morning, it just occurred on the cellular level when I started doing the shaking. It was like, right, if I can truly be right here in the body of heaven, in the body of time, in the body of the young, in the body of freshness and beauty, then my mind doesn't even have as many opportunities to get hooked into itself and to give so much power, to the mind. How much power am I giving to that story? And like the fool who's dancing at the edge of the cliff with the dog of the mind biting his heels, it's not like that dog of the mind goes away, those little thoughts. But as my dear teacher Roman says, let all of the thoughts be like clouds in the sky. And we are not those clouds. We are the blue spaciousness of the sky behind the clouds. We're the motion behind the wave. We're the reflection, and it's a brilliant moment to just rest in the consciousness that's witnessing these sensations occurring. To rest long enough in that spaciousness to allow these brilliant divine insights to emerge. And we all have an art. Some people have a medium that society deems as art, like music or painting, or speaking, but every way that we carry this current into our life, that's our opportunity to express the blissful beauty, the elated creativity, the elation of creation. We have this opportunity as human beings born right now. And yes, there's a lot of swamp that needs to be stirred up, and the creative rebel is here to stir up the energy, to bring things alive into the fresh moment. And to just complete this thought, like the reason this alchemical music and improvisational singing works so well is because our devotion in those rituals of singing is for the present moment, to become present with the flow of life. And every time we're out of the flow, we even sing that into the space. I'm uncomfortable with where I'm at right now, and I'm going to sing that into the space as a prayer to bring myself fully, completely alive in the present moment. And then together, listening so deeply to the subacoustic field of insight. Listening so deeply because we're in that flow together, something miraculous can occur. So thank you for walking through this contemplation of Epiphany, and I'll share my final prayer of Epiphany because it heals the fourth seal, the fourth wound, line wound of rejection. This is the one of the 7 sacred seals, the light of iridescence, the dragonfly's glow. And so Bina Zing, my dear partner that passed from this world, she had this as her evolution, and she became the patron saint of this key, one of the embodied examples of this key. And I witnessed it in her aura so much, and in her living legacy even now. And I would play the 7 sacred seals when we were working on the retreat with Richard, and afterwards I would listen to it over and over again each morning, and I would just start bawling because I could feel this angel of Bina, especially when he calls an angel Haniel. I could feel her just dancing and just leaving these ripples of iridescent light wherever she danced. That's the magic of this epiphany, this glorious exquisiteness that radiates out of that epiphany. And the epiphany is that we are this epiphany together, awakening to itself, and just allowing our hearts to open, our borders to open. Because the fear of rejection has kept us so closed off from each other. It's the nations building walls, making it harder and harder to exchange with one another. And in this time where immigration laws and class systems and intolerance around inequality and all sorts of these realms, they're all up. They're all very visible right now, which I'm grateful for, and it's scary and it's intense. But I just offer my seed of prayer into that space, that this epiphany continues to dawn in each of us individually and collectively, so that we can melt that armor around our hearts to start to see each other again, to feel each other again, to hear each other again, to hear the divine in each other again, so that our borders can be open to receive with hearts open. Of course, with clarity and discernment and discrimination, so that we can honor each other's cultures and honor each other's part in the path of the evolutionary story. But the wall is an old program. Healthy cell membrane, listening very carefully to the health of the whole organism, not just our individual organism. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free. It helps break the circuit of the ego that is constantly trying to fulfill its own safety and its own security. The breakthrough is to realize that external security doesn't exist in the way that our dissatisfied ego is trying to grasp at it so desperately. So we rest in the present moment. We, shake up the places of stagnancy, and we activate that virtue of vitality and freshness to reveal the blissful beauty of who we are right now and who we will become when we can embody that and walk that every day. Many blessings.